Welcome to another wonderful evening of World of Warships. I'm out in a Yagumo IJN destroyer, and we just had the Otago pop up here. He seems to be running a pretty good camouflage package because he actually got within torpedo range before he became visible. I'm going to launch some torpedoes on him and stay just out of detection range with him. I see a couple other battleships headed around, taking the long way around the board, trying to sneak by. That's not working out so well for them because they got spotted. And I'm going to start to flee. Now, the Otago put on the brakes here and is starting to, he turned inside the torpedoes. He's getting picked up by some aircraft now because he would actually be outside of my detection range. So I'm going to go back in there and pick him up again so that he can't disappear off everyone's scope. So if I dog him fairly closely, he will remain visible to all the ships that are behind me. And I'm looking at all the ships behind me, and it seems that they are all running away. They are going in the opposite directions. So they are firing on the Otago. Who's that? Bree W. But they're doing so at maximum range because they're actually running away. But I'll chase the Otago anyways, just because they're still able to do some damage. I also have some battleships off to my right that I launched some torpedoes on. The Otago is almost done for. Just a few more shots and somebody should be able to put him down. And they're firing at him. I'm not going to fire on him because I'm literally surrounded by a number of ships. And the only reason I'm surviving is because I'm going undetected. And I just got first blood, a destroyer, and I wasn't even shooting at him. Look up at the board, and it turns out we actually have a team killer on our team. But he didn't. Even though he killed one of my teammates first, he did not get the first blood award because I guess you can't get first blood for killing a teammate. I'm going to slow down here and turn around. I can't go chasing the Otago any deeper because I've got the Nisa now coming up on me here, and he'll pinch me in here. So I'm going to turn slow a bit, slow, and let him catch up. I got another 7 seconds for my torpedoes load, and then I'll start to kick it in gear and launch on the Nisa now. He doesn't know I'm here, and so we'll see how well those torpedoes track. He's in the midst of a gunfight and probably isn't paying too much attention, thinking this quadrant is clear. The Otago just left this area, and he doesn't see them coming. He starts to turn now, but it is too late, and down he goes. Got a devastating strike. 2 ships. The only 2 ships, enemy ships that have been sunk, and so I get a little cocky here and start asking, so anybody else want to sink some enemy ships? Now here's the one mistake I made this game, and that is probably should have slowed earlier. These dive bombers actually pick me up, and I'm starting to slow now, but too late. I am detected, and they start to loop back around here. There they are. They're looping back around. They're coming for me, so I'm going to pop some smoke and slow again. And they drop some bombs on me. Don't actually take away any hit points, but they have disabled one of my torpedo racks for now. You can see somebody was shooting at me as I was spotted. Now, if the carrier was really smart, he just would have left those dive bombers hovering around me, because I am surrounded on all sides by a number of ships. By my count, there are 7 or 8 of the enemy ships on this side of the board, and literally nobody else from my team on this side of the islands. They're all going around and hiding behind that island in the middle, and so I will be the one target that everyone will be able to shoot at if in fact they can find me. So I'm going to waste some time here hoping that the dive bomber clears away. I was actually hoping for some air support from our aircraft carrier, but it's not coming. So I better get going, because the other thing is I'm sure they're going to be closing on that smoke screen. And there's the North Carolina. He's probably closest, but there's a number of other ships, the Iowa, and I saw a cruiser over here before, and they're all headed for that smoke. So if I had stayed, I would have been toast. All right, so the North Carolina's in range. I'm going to put a round onto him, and put a second one, lead him a little more, and at this, let's see, we can get a new trajectory on him, see if he changes directions. There's the next set of torpedoes away. Now I'm going to turn and start to run, because I have 3 ships headed toward me, and got a torpedo into the North Carolina. So little bit by little bit, whittling away at the enemy force here. He has some spotter planes out in front. I do need to watch out for those. Decision, do I go right or left around this island? If I go right, it's safest. If I go left, I have the best chance of getting a broadside look from one of these ships. So I can sneak by on the left side. Now, if Bree W, the Otago, had been smart, he would have been pressing forward directly to where I launched from. Instead, he is skirting that, which is just fine with me. It gives me a chance to get another firing solution on the North Carolina here and get some torpedo. Got a torpedo salvo off against him. The Otago is now starting to run toward me, so I kick it into high gear and start to flee. But rather than again coming toward me, he zigzags all the way back, and he's actually showing me his broadside. So can't very well let that one go by. So I got one more set of torpedoes loaded up. There's the North Carolina eating another set of torpedoes. Now he repaired after the first set of torpedoes hit him. You can see the on the upper right there, the damage points are still going up, so he is still flooding. He'd used up a repair crew, and will continue to flood for a while. I think he will accumulate another, probably 20,000 points worth of damage here. The Otago turns just inside of my torpedoes, and I'm a little worried about what's going to happen here. If he continues to chase me, I'm going to run out of room pretty fast. He has disappeared. I need to pick him up again, so I'm going to turn back in toward him a little bit so I can see which way he's going. Got another round of torpedoes loaded up if he's coming toward me, but no, he's now back on the original course. So I'm going to come around the island. I'm going to expect the Otago to cut by that point on the land as close as possible. So I have to make sure that my detection range does not go much beyond that, or he could pop around the island and pick me up, which would be unfortunate. He would do quite a bit of damage. Here comes the Iowa and the North Carolina again. So I love shooting battleships. I get a couple of rounds off here, and we're going to switch to the zoom view here, and you can see torpedoes are tracking on both of them. Now the Iowa is just entering inside our home base area. He starts to capture that, and he's starting to slow. The North Carolina, who's behind him, shadowed behind him, is actually still at full speed. I don't know if the Iowa saw the torpedoes coming and started to slow down or what, but speaks for itself. So that was a double strike, a devastating strike, liquidator, all in the course of about 5 seconds. I think that also we gotta make sure the Otago. So Bree, who's been chasing me all the way across the board, finally gets put down. I was spotting him, but I finally got some firepower backing me up, and now I can head in and see what else is afoot. We are in the middle of a typhoon, which makes the visible range very, very short. And I'm going to sneak up behind these islands here and see if somebody's going to try and force their way through. There was one of our ships trying to force their way through the island, and somebody over there on the other side sunk him rather quickly. Up in front of me, we have a Pat Master who's looking rather sickly. He's got about 8,000 points left and is not all that eager on trying his luck through the island. So he's starting to retreat. So I'm going to be back out toward the forefront again. Up pops a destroyer, and somebody's got him on their scopes. I guess he's spotted by the planes, and so we've got a number of guns that ought to be able to bring him under fire. I can't, he's outside of my range at the moment, and I don't have a line of sight to him. He gets sunk, which is fortunate. So we're now rather handily here. I've got 4 ships and a pocket full of medals, but it's not over until you win this thing yet. So we've got a destroyer and a battleship, and and a cruiser coming in. So if somebody is going to try and force their way through this gap in the islands in front of me, what I'll do is I'll hide behind the island, and then I will turn and give them a broadside while covering with smoke. Looks like the Nelson's not going to try it. Lost sight of the cruiser. He may yet still try and force his way through here. And waiting to see which way it goes. And the Algiers apparently is not going to try and force his way through. Gets pummeled rather heavily by torpedo planes and some gunfire, so he goes down. Now I'm gonna try the old torpedo them while I'm backing up in reverse as they sneak around the island trick. I know they're coming around here, and I know I want to back into position. I'm going to launch the torpedoes when somebody spots them coming around, and then I can hightail it out of there. Oh, and the first one around is the Fletcher, an American gunboat. Not what I wanted to see. So I'm going to get my torpedoes off, bring my guns around on him. He sees me and starts to fire on me. Unfortunately for him, he turns right into the torpedo's broadside. So down he goes. I was actually expecting the battleship to be coming around the corner here in a moment. There he is, the Nelson, but I don't want to be anywhere near him when he comes around the corner, because I am fresh out of torpedoes right now. However, I can turn, cover with some smoke, and hit him with some guns while my torpedoes reload. I'm still a good half a minute away from some new torpedoes, so I'm going to pop smoke and slow and bring my guns to bear when he rounds the corner. Well, pathetic guns they are. And while I'm doing that, somebody sinks the Nelson for me. So a wasted smoke screen, but that puts us up rather handily. We have a little bit of mopping up to do with the aircraft carrier who's out there somewhere, but there's pretty much no way we could lose this at this point. We're up on ships. we're up on points, and looks like we're going to start to capture their home base here. Now, what to do with the remaining time? Well, first off, I think I'm going to pull up beside the Mogami here and do some Vogue's shots for the future. So let me get up beside the Mogami here. I'm actually headed toward the enemy zone home base. I don't believe I'm actually going to get there before somebody sinks this this last ship, but you know, you never know. A few extra points. So I'm going to go off of the torpedo ones in case so I don't accidentally torpedo my own Mogami, and I'll get some nice video footage here that maybe I'll use in an opening later on. The Mogami and the island make a nice backdrop. We have some torpedo planes headed down toward J1. Now, I really dislike the other team. They have been, as we say, salty. There's a phrase in World of Warships, you know, is it salty down there? Implying that, you know, people cry salty tears after they've been sunk to the bottom of the ocean. And these guys are salty beyond belief. They're actually telling us where their aircraft carrier is at. They are complaining ceaselessly about the aircraft carrier and critiquing his job. Now we'll get to the end of this game and we'll see that the aircraft carrier actually, I believe, is the third highest scoring team member. Now he may not have been able to carry the whole team, but our aircraft carrier was only the second highest scoring. So not too far apart. In terms of their rankings. He certainly didn't do a bad job. He dealt a lot of damage, but he's not saving the team, and so they've got somebody to pick on. They're going to pick on the aircraft carrier, and so that sort of leads to the name for this, which is, you know, the SaltyKracken, because these guys are crying about it. And a carrier that actually did a reasonable job in this game. We'll talk about some of the flaws that the other team, you know, his teammates had. So anyways, there we are, over 200,000 points, high caliber, got first blood even though the team killer beat me, the liquidator, my favorite here, the Kracken, 5 ships down. And I got the double strike and the liquidator at the same time, and 4 of my 5 ships went down with devastating strikes. The only one that didn't was the liquidator. And there's the total score, and you can see there Lexington in 3rd place and our Chicago in 2nd. Solid hits all around.